There is a poem hanging in our living room that was written in 1973 by our late grandmother, Virginia Ellis, titled A Family. While we never had the chance to meet our grandmother, this poem is incredibly meaningful to us and to our mom. We would like to read one of our favorite sections to you all this evening.
A family is a circle where we learn to like ourselves, where we learn to make good decisions, where we learn to think before we do, where we learn integrity and table manners and respect for other people, where we are special, where we share ideas, where we listen and are listened to, where we learn the rules of life to prepare ourselves for the world.
There is so much of this poem that embodies our mom and the way that she and our father have built our family. The first is the way that Mom taught us to share and celebrate one another's ideas and to listen deeply to others. At the dinner table each night, our mom and our dad created a forum for us to each share our learnings and happenings from the day. Good was never a sufficient answer to the question, how was school today? At the dinner table, we had a space where we were listened to, and we learned to listen to others.
This was also a space where we were challenged, where our mom asked us thoughtful questions about how we were approaching our latest calculus exam or social dilemma. She modeled what authentic curiosity looked like, encouraging us to do the same.
Now spread out between coasts, our dinner table conversations have taken on new forms. Our mom fields multiple calls and countless texts from each of us every day. She is our sounding board for everything from what to say in an interview to what we will wear out on a Friday night. Her absence for a 4-hour stretch once prompted one of us, not to be named, to nearly call the police reporting her absence. She is a critical piece of our daily lives, and we don't know what we would do without her.
Though this likely will not come as a surprise to those of you who have crossed paths with our mom in the business world, she also instilled in us a rigorous and empathetic form of decision-making. This came about in a couple of different ways. From
write out the pros and cons of joining the lacrosse team.
Or, I'd like to see a sources and uses on your GSB travel budget. But it also arises in the larger ways that our mom taught us how to make decisions and collaborate. She encouraged us to assume goodwill and put ourselves in others' shoes, authentically taking the perspective of people we may or may not agree with. Our mom showed us the power in a bit of preparation, thinking before we act. And perhaps most importantly, she taught us to own our decisions and to apologize when we were wrong.
The poem closes with a simple message. The world is a place where anything can happen. If we grow up in a loving family, we are ready for the world. We are so grateful to our mom for creating the foundation from which we could spring into the world.
We are so proud to see her honored this evening, and even more proud to be her daughters every day.
We love you, Mom. Please join us in welcoming our mother's close friend, Jeff Weber, to the stage.
That was awesome, Melinda. You have good reason to be proud. Congratulations, Ron, Melinda. A well-deserved recognition. It's rumored that Stanford has a pretty decent talent pool to choose from, so this is a recognition that is really an accomplishment, so congratulations. I was, Melinda, I can't really imagine what it would be like to, follow in the footsteps of an industry icon. Your father was an amazing force, and you've done a remarkable job of making a real and positive impact on our business, and frankly, leaving a similar challenge to your daughters. Based on what I just saw, they seem to be quite up for the task. I've known Melinda since, we were young. Well, I was foolish, she was just young. And have grown up in the business together. We met at a Bama meeting. She was with Ann Rulick and company, and then on to Grubb and Ellis, and then on to founding Ellis Partners with her dad and her brother, which has grown to an amazing platform, 24 great team members, 67 projects, and delivered terrific returns for your partners and your investors. Some of the notable ones, 1100 Broadway, which followed, frankly, your father's interest in helping revitalize Oakland and taking the blighted Key Systems building. Jack London Square, another 15-year dedication to Oakland waterfront and Emory Tech, Town and Country, the restoration of obviously a very local landmark. But you guys have range, right? There are office companies, there are retail companies. You guys have developed expertise in development, value add, investing, leasing across product types, and more importantly, you've done it in a way that has left partners wanting to go back. I mean, every developer who's been through cycles has hit air pockets at points in time. The manner in which you guys have navigated the ups and downs of cycles and taking care of investors in the good times and bad is one of the things that keeps, frankly, people coming back. I was always taught how one achieves their success is far more important than the success they achieve, and you've done that, whether it's how you treat those who can help you, those who you can't, the integrity, your long trusted partnerships, and in some cases just simply working harder, smarter, that intellectual rigor that you've shown to your daughters. And you're not the first woman to achieve status in this business, but your contributions both within Ellis Partners and through the industry is really impressive. And frankly, as somebody who has two daughters in the real estate business, I'm especially appreciative. You focused on projects of impact to the community. You've dedicated your time to PREA, organizations like SEO, Urban Alliance. You've, looking at areas to contribute to a pipeline of diverse and underrepresented people in the industry. Your contributions to Cal, Stanford over the years. You've been in a world where there aren't, kind of role models. Charles Barkley didn't seem to think it was a very good idea. You are a role model for all of us, and the true test is in the partners that you've had for a long time, whether it's within Ellis Partners, Baupost, Cargill, Artemis. They want to keep coming back, and for good reason. So, congratulations. It's well deserved. Please welcome Melinda Ellis Evers.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. And really, thank you to everyone for being here. And we are such a raucous crew, and it's just so great to feel that feeling again. Ron and I are fondly calling this our mid-career moment, so nobody get any ideas. Jeffrey, thank you for those lovely words. Really, we have now a multi-decade friendship, and we've had lots of professional collaborations, and most importantly, it's just meant so much to be able to lean on your good counsel at those moments, like be a deal or a family or whatever. And those are really treasured, and I really appreciate your friendship. Girls, thank you for your touching words and for leaving your busy lives to be here tonight. As we say in our house, love you to the moon and back. And Will, my hubby of now 35 years, wow, you're my rock and the best partner I could have ever imagined. And thank God you learned how to cook so many years ago. Saved us. Young people out there, remember that. So as some of you may know, I actually started my career in the passenger seat of a 1958 black T-Bird. Now, I was 2 years old, and my father, who was just getting Grubb and Ellis going, would drive properties on the weekends and give my mom a break while she was pregnant with my brother Steve. So who knows cause and effect, but I always loved buildings. And maybe it was those Sunday drives. Maybe it was the Lincoln Log toys, if anybody remembers those, sort of strewn about the house. Maybe it was the sense in the 60s around the dinner table when Dad and Mom were talking a lot about cities and how they really needed our help. And maybe it was just this boyish enthusiasm and resilience that our dad had as he went through these terrible real estate cycles. And he would, and on more than one occasion, lost his job, he lost the company twice, but he always came back to it because he just loved what he did. But it was in those really tough moments that us kids figured out that just because things are really, really hard doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad. Now, I obviously started my career with a lot of access and a great, I had a head start. But I still needed people who believed in me and pushed me. When I went to what I know many of you in this room call that other school across the bay, I spent some summers working at various Grubb and Ellis offices. And I remember Stanford grad John Guillory, who really made me work hard, and he didn't care that I was the boss's daughter. And so people like that were really instrumental for me. After graduation, and really fresh out of an interview where I had a CEO tell me, women do not wear pants in this company. I fortunately, my next meeting was with a woman named Ann Rulak. And Ann hired me right away. She was coming out of B of A to start a mortgage brokerage business for apartment developers. And she just brought me in. I was her first employee. She took me everywhere. She took me to Bama. She said, you will be the president of this organization. That's where I met Jeff. And she just knew the power of connection, and she was so generous. She shared it with me, and I was not ready for prime time, but she did it, and it was instrumental. Ann was only one of 3 women that I had met in dozens and dozens of interviews as I was looking for my first job. Rosalind Payne at Easthill was another one. She was in this pinstripe maternity dress. I'd never seen one of those before. And Connie Moore was the other, and many of you know Connie. What I know now is that you cannot be it if you can't see it. And I'm so grateful to those early mentors because they were the ones that sort of showed me the path. And it was really instrumental in me imagining who I could be someday. There were also moments where I really needed to get out of my own way. And Peter Merlone of Merlone Geyer fame, Brad's partner, was the next person who really propelled my career. He called me, and they were starting a new division at Grubb & Ellis called the Grubb & Ellis Realty Advisors. They really wanted me to join, and I said, I'm sorry, I have a plan, and my dad was still the CEO there. I said, I'm sorry, I have a plan. I need to work outside Grubb & Ellis for at least 5 years, and it's only been 2, so I can't come. And he said, Melinda, don't be an idiot. And it was at that moment, I was like, oh, okay, I'll rethink it. And so I did, and I did go there, and we had 7 great years, and I learned a ton, and so I'm very grateful to Peter. My decision to go to graduate school came in 1990 when I was sort of looking around, and I realized that I was surrounded by MBAs, and I really didn't know what they knew that I didn't know. So I was like, I gotta figure this out. And I got to Stanford, and I met all these people, they're all over there, who seemed to have no constraints. They just didn't think that there were any constraints in the world, like they could do anything. And Gary, Lauren, and Jerry are here tonight, 3 of the 5 of us in the real estate club, as I said on the video. And as it turned out, the entrepreneurial environment of the GSB was exactly what I needed. It was incredibly infectious because what happened next meant I was going to need it. Just as I was starting to talk to Grubb and Ellis again about going back, Hal was fired by his board. So there I was. I thought I was going to Grubb and Ellis. My dad was fired by the board. And so Hal went into his basement for a year to try to figure out how to get the company back. And brother Jim and I started talking about what a family venture might look like. Ultimately, Jim really was the one who sort of pushed Hal over the edge, and we founded Ellis Partners in 1993, right before I graduated. So over the first 16 years of what has now been 28 years as Ellis Partners, Jim and I had the privilege of working with our dad. And we started with a super small bank account because he'd been a great entrepreneur, had all his money in his company, and the stock had gone to $2. But he had a lot of frequent flyer miles, and we had a napkin idea, you know, like, well, maybe we'll do this, and it seems like there's a lot of money, no money out there and a lot of deals. And we sort of organically grew over that 16-year period and kind of carved a little spot, as Jeff said, into the community. When Hal died in 2009, you know, since then, I've had the great fortune of working with my brother Jim, who's super talented. And together, we've been able to work, we build an amazing team and work with our 4 partners who are here tonight, Dean, Jason, Peter, and Will. Thank you guys. It's a joy to go to work with you, and thank God we are going to the office again. We've had the joy and occasional sorrow of working with an amazing group of investors, which has really been a joy. And we've been able to work in cities and communities around the Bay, and I think really have a little bit of impact, which has been fantastic with the built environment and with our tenants. You know, this work is enormously gratifying and satisfying. And when you can take a crumbling asset and bring it back to life, or you can meet with a city and work with them and really help them, you know, meet their goals for renewal and growth, or sit in with community members and figure out how you bring their vision forward. And then what's really cool is when you can get a group of people in a room, smart, open-minded, different perspectives, and really come together and make a project great. So that's what gets me up every day and, you know, back into the office as much as possible. But as we look ahead in the Bay Area with all of its opportunity and its enormous set of challenges, it's going to take all of us who live here in this room, every bit of our creativity, our collaboration, our innovation to get it right. And what energizes me is that our industry is finally opening up and making sure that more voices are heard. And we think we're going to do a better job as a result. So there's so much to be hopeful about. There's a few things that remain slightly frustrating, but very motivating for me. And that is the fact that, for example, minority-owned firms in the real estate investment management business still only control 2% of assets under management. And if you're a woman-owned firm, it's lower than that. It's less than 1%. So I get my optimism from the fact that as a math person, there's really nowhere to go but up. Which brings us to the Stanford Student Impact Fund, which all of you guys here tonight have helped launch. Thank you. Our hope is that this will be the beginning of how Spire can be an accelerator, or as our partner at Artemis, Debbie Harmon, likes to say, a force multiplier for innovation and change. Because we need more of our students to be able to see it so they can be it. Thank you to Doug and Chris and Nelson, wherever you are out there, for allowing me into your classrooms over the last decade. It's truly been a joy. And thank you, Ron, for being an amazing partner in crime these last months. And thank you to the talented Spire team, to my fellow SREC members. It's a true honor to be recognized and to have the opportunity ahead to work with all of you to think big for the years ahead. So thank you so much.